out of class. That's what my intentions were, to be here and get you guys out of class. You guys can go home after this. How's everybody doing? We need somebody else in this group to do that. To carry the legacy on from this high school and for Erie, for the city of Erie. So we can all be proud of you, and we can look forward to watching you Saturday or Sunday. And I understand there's a few guys that have committed to the colleges. Which one? Who's there?
Kwani.
Who has? Oh, good. To where? To Edinburgh. Okay, good. Perfect. Anybody else? Oh, you're the only one here. Well, listen, you know what I want to do? I can sit here and talk and bore you guys to death with talking. And you've heard enough speeches, I'm sure, with teachers and everybody else. So, you know, the one thing I am really proud of, my wife, where's Angela? There's my wife Angela in the back here, you guys. So, she's a great inspiration. And everybody has somebody to answer to. That's who I answer to right there. That lady there. But we got a chance to finally see the field. And this group of guys back here, Eddie Kissel, Richie Valahovic, you guys take a quick stand up. They all went to school with me here. And Richie played sports. Eddie was more educational. He was the brains of the group that we were in with, hanging out all the time. But along with them, and I think, well, is that all who's here? Doug's not here, right? Zebak's not here, huh? Well, those guys weren't able to make it, but these guys had such a great impact on getting this field done and the track to make it something special for you guys. Because all of us at one time, years ago, when we were your age, you know, we had to go and walk up that driveway in the summertime and go out there and pick rocks up off the field so we could practice because it was so bad. And when I was able to have my name placed on this field years ago, 20 years ago or so. And so our vision was to get the field done and have a first-class facility, football field and track. And, you know, it took us 20 years to get it done, but, you know, we got it done, and these guys were a big inspiration. So Daria Devlin, who just is going to be a new mayor, was working for the school district, and we had her sort of say on our side. And she really helped push through with funding and get the money to really do what we wanted to get done and what our, like I say, what our vision was. And, you know, always in the back of my mind, and Eddie and Val's mind was, you know, let's do something for these kids, or they walk up that driveway, they wouldn't like us. It was the fact that they had a first-class place to go on to, a field, a track, whatever it may be, being able on a field. But for the football team, for you guys to have something to be proud of. And I hope you appreciate it, because, you know, we're happy for you. You know, it's that field is for you guys. And for the guys that were here before you, for the guys that will be coming in after you. So that's your place. And we certainly hope you enjoy it, because that was our main goal, that you would enjoy it and feel good about going out there and performing. And there's nothing like performing on a first-class field, track, whatever it may be out there. So we were able to get that accomplished for you. And basically, we always talk about you guys, the athletes here, the football team, the track team, soccer, whatever it may be, that we're proud of you guys over to have a first-class facility. You know, so I hope you appreciate it, because it was a great dream of ours, and we finally see it come true. So, you guys like it? Not bad, huh? Yeah, pretty good deal, I'll tell you what. And going through the facility here with Principal Orlando, seeing a new gym, swimming pool, that entrance for the athletic department in the back. It's unbelievable. The only thing that's not, well, this is new here, I'm sure refurbished over the years, But all of us, the times that we've been able to come here and see it, this place hasn't changed because it was the same when we were going to school here when Tech first opened. It was Tech Memorial, and it first opened, and the auditorium hasn't changed very much from when we were going to school here, other than probably new seating and everything. We didn't have these kind of seats. We had the hard seats. No, they didn't want us to fall asleep in the auditorium. But you know what? You guys have any questions? Don't be bashful now, okay? Do I have to pick somebody out? Okay, what do you quick to do that? Did I pick out the most bashful guy on the team? Okay.
What is it like being in the Hall of Fame?
What's that?
What is it like being in the Hall of Fame?
Oh man, I tell you what, you can't beat it. You know, it's something that, you know, I don't know if you guys knew a guy named Deacon Jones, who was a defensive end for the Los Angeles Rams, just a fantastic player, cut above guy. He was terrific, and he always made us, everybody understand that you're finally on a team where nobody can cut you or get rid of you. You know, and that's how we look at the Hall of Fame, all the members, all the guys. You know, you look at the people in the Hall of Fame and it's just history. It's NFL history forever. And it's never going to go away. And to be part of something like that where, you know, you remember where you start reliving your life and you go back to here where you grew up in the city. I grew up down well, my first house was between First and Front and Second Street on German Street down on the east side, and we made a big move up to 4th Street. It was a big move for us then. But that's how I was raised, learning to play against guys in a neighborhood that were, sometimes they're a lot older than you. You learn to, you know, you got beat up when you were a kid, and then, you know, next thing you know, you were the older one. But then you go to college, you go play with the Raiders, and then with your time that you play in the NFL, and you have the opportunity to make an impact, and it does happen for you, and it's something that you don't plan. You know, it's just something that really just happens, you know, and you look back on your career, and all of a sudden you're in the Hall of Fame, and there's nothing like it. And there's very few people. Like in all NFL history, Hall of Fame, I'm like the 141st guy to go in the Hall of Fame. And I was, you know, kind of proud of that because that's not a lot of people before me. And so I love it. The guys are terrific, the guys are great, and you know, you're around greatness. You know, who doesn't want to be around greatness? You want to be around people that can carry that torch, that can get out there and make an impact, make an impression, make an impact. And I like to call guys like that, they're the cut above. You know, they're the cut above. They're just not a guy. You know, I always looked at football. You know, you have a player, you have a good player, and then you have the cut above. So a lot of us are fortunate to be able to hold that title of being a cut above guy. So, but it's great being in the Hall of Fame, it sure is. It's unbelievable. All right, who's next? Go ahead.
How hard was it for you to get to the NFL?
How hard was it for me to get picked in the NFL? But when I came out, I went to Florida State University, and when I came out, it wasn't all the media. And by then, there was 2 leagues, the AFL, NFL, and I got drafted by Detroit and by the Oakland Raiders. And I had a choice. I was a second-round draft pick. But so I picked the Raiders because of the fact that they threw the ball a lot. You know, they were throwing the ball 35, 40, 45 times a game. You know, so that fit in more the type of guy, the type of player I was. You know, so but it's tough because now guys expect to get drafted. Back then, you were lucky to get drafted, and you're pretty fortunate to be able to have somebody pick you that wants you on their team, because you know you only get drafted because somebody wants you, and then after they want you, they get you, then it's up to you. You know, So it's either up to you to be committed to what you're doing and just come up with football. Okay, who's next? Oh, I played this. Well, it was called the It was called the championship game, and I was let's see, like 24 years old, and we played against the Green Bay Packers, who were so legendary with everybody. And a ton of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. And Vince Lombardi was the head coach. Bart Starr was the quarterback, and it was unbelievable playing against those guys. I was just a young kid, you know. My first that was going to what my third years, whatever, right there. I mean, my first year I had such a tough time adjusting to football, and it kind of overwhelmed me. So I went through, made a lot of mistakes. It wasn't easy. I struggled a lot catching the football at that time because I just couldn't get settled down and get used to playing. And you know, you were all of a sudden you're playing professional football, you're playing against guys that are so talented, it's unbelievable. And it took me a year, my second year. I went through part of the year. I started my second year and did just okay. And then right after halfway through the year, I got my knee torn up. And so I didn't play my entire second year. And then going into my third year, I didn't start again until halfway through my third year. So that when we went to the Super Bowl or championship game at that time, you know, I didn't have much experience. And so that was, there was a guy named Herb Adderley, who's a fantastic corner in the Hall of Fame. That's a legendary defensive back in the NFL. And our quarterback at that time was Daryl Monica. Well, Daryl threw me the ball in that game. And I'll tell you what, I don't know where the hell he came from, but he came out of nowhere, picked it up, raced down the field, 66-yard touchdown. You know? So you talk about being embarrassed, you talk about, oh my God. And then, you know, from then on, I learned that, you know, you better get together, brother, you know, because there's no fun out here if you let that kind of stuff happen to you. And I'll never forget, I remember now, I'm 82 years old, I still remember it, almost 60 years ago. So, but it was great to be part of that, you know, the Super Bowl II, you know, nobody can believe it. Championship game, and then we would play Super Bowl 11. We played Minnesota, and on the Rose Bowl we beat Minnesota. So we kind of got back, and so in my career I was 1-1 in Super Bowls, and I was able to be MVP in Super Bowl 11, and that was a nice honor. You know, it kind of by then I was in like my 12th year. You know, a little bit older, I was in my middle 30s, and to have something like that happen to you, and you start thinking about, you know, you start thinking about your career, what you went through, and like I said a few minutes ago, it was tough for me my first couple of years, and then, of course, getting hurt, and of course, like, just jumping back a little bit, I remember when I came back to training camp my third year, after being hurt halfway through the year, my second year, you know, you find out what life is about. You know, you find out how much those coaches like you know, or if they dislike you. And I learned a lot in that training camp when I first came. I learned that, you know, the only one that's going to take care of you is you. You know, the only one that's going to make you a player is you. And I was fortunate enough to have two guys, Billy Cannon and Cotton Davison. They're older players. And they kind of took me under their wing, and they really taught me a lot. And I went through that, going through that period of time. When I came back my third year, they really helped me out a lot. I mean, there were times when I went to training camp my third year. I mean, I wasn't practicing. I was sitting over on the side, and everybody else was practicing, and I was like the fourth guy down on the roster. So I know what it's like to have that opportunity to where you can be here. And then you can be down here. And then it's how much toughness, how much you want to sacrifice to get back up. And that's what I had to do. And the only person that's going to help me get back there is you. You know, you're going to get encouragement from the coaches and the guys you're playing with. But, you know, when it comes down, there's only one person when you go crawling in bed at night, is you. And everything goes through your mind. You know, well, I don't make it, I would play again, all that, not practicing. I used to stay out after practice and just go through practice myself, running routes, catching balls, all that. You know, and then I had an opening, and I got a chance, and I took advantage of it. It worked out. You know, but I know I've been there. I've been on the bottom, I've been on the top, man. It's no fun being on the bottom. You know, it's not like being, hey, okay, you jump in here, come on, get in here. You know, okay, go run in there. You know, then you get to the point where then they call it, hey, Craig, come on. You know, so it goes to hey, you to your name. And so I got a lot just to get back playing. So I went, and you know, I don't know how many of you guys go through a tough time learning, and you never think that you're going to be able to be out there, but you know, you're going to get that chance. It's like a sign. I don't know how many of you guys see a sign in the street, but you know, walking out there, and you see me, and I'm holding up my finger. Why, I talked about this the other night, where, you know, I looked at that and I said, do people think that's arrogant? You know, that, you know, does he have an ego, or what is it? You know, and I thought about that. And I go, you know what? To me, you know, it depicts this, that you come out on the field, no matter where you're playing, and you're going to have one chance. You know, you're going to get one chance to do what you want to do and be great. Or if you want to just be with the rest of the pack. If you want to just be in the mix, or you want to be a guy. You know, so that's what that finger meant to me all the time, is you're going to have one chance. And when you go on that field, take advantage of everything that you can get done on that field, no matter what it is. No matter what. Produce. I was like my years playing. I didn't have great speed. I learned how to be smart out there, how to play the game, and how to know that you had to be tough. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't going to be easy. No one's going to hand you anything. You know, if you want something, you got to go take it. You know, when you're an athlete, if you want to be that person, you got to go take it. There's no handouts when you're an athlete. Man, you get on your football field, basketball court, and track. People are out there to beat you. They're not just out there to run with you, they're out there to beat you. And when you start understanding that, then you become wise, then you become smart, then you become intelligent, and you know, it's like one of the things I've always talked about. How much are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to be like a football player? How high do you want to go? And what will you sacrifice to get to that point? And it's just not, you know, well, I won't go out tonight, or I won't do this, I won't do that. It's what part of your life are you going to take and really commit yourself and exclude everybody else? Are you willing to put that aside, family, friends, whatever, to be great? You know I did it. It's you leave a lot of trail, a lot of bad people behind you, and people you hurt. But if that's what you want to do, that's the way it is. And there's no, you know, to me, I'm never in the middle of the road. It's either you're right or you're wrong. It's that simple. That's life. You know, you either do something wrong the wrong way, or you do something the right way. And I learned that's just part of life. And you might not want to deal with it, but I mean, that's what people deal with, right or wrong. I can remember my first practice as a rookie. My God, I went out there the first time, I screwed up the first play. I came back to the huddle and said, "You're not at Florida State anymore." anymore. And that winds me up, I go, oh my God, man, the first play of rookie, way to go, you know. So it was tough, but I challenged it. I finally got up to the challenge. You know, it's a challenge out there. It's not fun. You got to push yourself. You know, if you're waiting for other people to push you, and you can't push yourself, I'll tell you what, don't make that mistake. You got to challenge yourself every time you go out there. Let's get to another player. I'm rambling. Go ahead. I'm rolling now. What's that? Oh yeah, we make it to the Super Bowl, how people treat you differently. Oh, geez, you know, you talk about friends. they come out of the woodwork. You know, doors are opening. All of a sudden, you got all these friends. All of a sudden, you got a posse. You know, all of a sudden, everybody wants to be around you. You know, and nobody wants to be around a guy that's hurt. Nobody wants to be around a guy that isn't part of the winning. You know, they just want to be there. They want to be there to finish line with the win. That's it. It's sad. It's a sad part of life. It really is. And I'm somewhere along the line. All you got to do is deal with it. You know, something's going to happen. Things aren't going to go good. You go good, and then all of a sudden you're a success, and now people want to be with you. You know, and then that's the danger of being an athlete. You know, you got to start separating the people that want to be with you and make your own choice who you want to be with. I see a lot of guys over the years go the other way because that posse grew too big. You know, they weren't helping that guy. All they wanted was to be there and share the benefits, but they didn't want to do the sacrifices. Okay, who's next?
Speak up, bro.
All these years, I believe, how do you manage your money?
What's that?
All these years retired, how do you manage your money?
Manage my money? See that blonde back there? No, I only you know, to be honest with you, you know, being born and raised here, we didn't have much money. You know, my mom, you know, she cooked for people at schools, was a cook. She cleaned offices. My father was a welder all his life. You know, and they worked. I mean, there were times they worked 6 days a week. You know, and so I knew what it was like not to have things. I couldn't have things. I mean, it was like you go down to the corner store. You know, you couldn't afford an ice cream sandwich for 15 cents. You have the money. You know, I went through all that stuff, and then later on, as things get better. I mean, there were times when I was foolish with my money. I'll be honest with you, I really did. And fortunately enough, I was able to stay in professional football for a number of years. So once I wised up, I was able to put money aside. You know, have a retirement, be smart with it. I mean, you don't need a big old Mercedes Benz convertible or whatever. You know, I drive a Chevy Equinox. You know, and because I stay within the things I can afford, and I enjoy those things. And so I never, very rarely put myself in a position where I really got to worry, because I know where I came from. I know how it was. I know how hard people work for it. And, you know, eventually I matured enough to make those decisions that help me out. You know, I'm still able to go out and do appearances because of what I did with football. You know, you make a nice little income off of that. And so I'm very fortunate. You know, I'm very fortunate to have income coming in other than my retirement stuff. And, but I handle it smart. You know, you just gotta be worried about people trying to pick your pocket all the time. Still, yes.
What's some tips you take from college to the NFL?
What's that?
What's some tips you take from college to the NFL?
I can't hear you. Here, give it to me, please.
What's some tips you took from college into the NFL?
The difference. Okay, I got you. Yep. the NFL, it's the players. I mean, you're playing against, you go to college, and, there's always going to be, like here, there's always going to be guys 2 or 3 years ahead of you until you become that guy. And when you go to college, there's people from all over the country going to that college. I mean, like here, you play with the same guys, the same guys for 3, 4 years. But when you get into college, guys come from all over. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I was a running back here. I played wide receiver, but I was mostly a running back. So I went to Florida State as a running back. And just to kind of help you out, to understand that, I got down there, and man, they had like 4 running backs other than me, and those guys are good, And I started seeing the writing on the wall a little bit. I go, you would do something. So that's when I asked the coach if I go back to wide receiver. So that's why I went go back to wide receiver, because I mean the talent I would have never made it as a running back. I'll be honest with you. And that's what the talent that you run into. The talent that comes from all over the country. And the people that you're around, it's just a different experience. It's something that it's something you can't prepare for, but you have to be aware when you get there. And you have to be aware around what's it like, what's the circumstances around here, with the rest of the players that I'm playing against, or want that spot, want part of the big spot as a player. So, I saw right away. At least I had that much sense in my head, But yeah, it's tough. That deal's tough. You got to be ready to go. And that's up to you. That's it. That's simple. I like guys over here.
What's the significance of number 25? How did you wear that as a receiver?
Number 25. My favorite player in the NFL at the time was probably Donald, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because he was a small guy, a tough guy, not very fast, but he's a guy that I watched when I was young, and I just hooked on to him, and that's why I ended up wearing number 25. He was a tough guy, and he was a batter. He went out there and he played football. He's in the Hall of Fame too. He since passed away, but he's in the Hall of Fame too. And I remember when I got the Hall of Fame, go back in 1988. That's a long time ago now. But the first time I met him, and I go, Tommy, I said, I'd like you to sign jersey. He's like, get the hell out of here. He thought I was just jerking him around. I never got a signed jersey from him because he thought I was just jerking him around all the time. So I never got a jersey for him, but he was my hero. And who else? We didn't get nothing over here. What are you guys doing over here? You got questions? What's that? What kept me motivated? Not wanting to be a failure. Not wanting to disappoint myself. That it's scary. It's scary that to keep yourself motivated, because a lot of keeping yourself motivated, it all depends how you approach everything. You got to go out there every day, and if it's the season, the off season, whatever, to keep yourself going. That's how you keep yourself motivated. It's all what's inside you. If you got enough guts, if you got enough toughness in you, and self-motivate yourself, and really take the time to, at times it's not easy. I mean, sometimes you got to force yourself out there to do work, but there's always a reward for all that work, and it is true. I really truly believe that. The hard work, the harder you put into work, the better off things are going to be for you. But but failure was a scary thing, and I want to always stay away from that. And like I said earlier, You know, my first couple of years, it was very good. You know, but I kept myself motivated. I had a couple of guys like I explained to you that were older than me that really helped me out a lot. And they gave me a great deal of motivation to keep working. So, yeah, it's not easy to motivate yourself. You know, you gotta have that inside you. You know, and you gotta keep working on that because you can get that. You know, it's not hard to keep yourself motivated or, you know, well, look at it this way. I didn't want one guy sitting on the bench and everybody else was playing. You know, that's motivation enough. You know, where everybody's out there playing, and I didn't want to be one of them looking. I want to be out there participating. You know, I want to be one out there where you go out there and contribute, you help the team win. And that was always my motivation, working out in the off season. You know, planning my workouts so that in the off season, that I always had a good workout regimen all the time, and thinking about the team. You know, if you start thinking too much individual, you know, it works for a little bit, but after a while, you know, like going on a football field, you got 10 other guys that are counting on you. You know, sometimes people don't look at it that way, where, you know, you leave that huddle, and sometimes the play's not going to work. But you know what, you got to get back there and huddle and get back out there. So you better make it work some way, you better figure it out pretty quick because there's not that much time to sit there and sulk and, you know, so the motivation comes from that. The excitement is going back out there and being a success. You know, see how tough you are mentally, physically, and with everything to be able to go out there and try to make the next play successful. That's the thrill. You know, I looked at it, you know, being a receiver, the thrill was, you know, if you didn't catch the ball, you had to go back out there and you had to catch the next one. That's the thrill when you play on the end, when you play on that fancy, you go, failure, success. That's motivation enough. You want to follow the other on that successful side. And that was always the thrill of being a receiver to me, to be able to have that ability to do that. And there were times I didn't pull it off, there were times I pulled it off. But my thoughts were always, you know, you gotta do something out there. Because like I said a few minutes ago, you got 10 other guys that are counting on you. When that ball's snapped, you gotta do your job too. Because there's 10 other guys doing the job too, you know. So, next question.
What's some advice that you know that you had growing up?
What's the advice?
What's some advice that you wish you had gave us growing up?
The advice I give you guys? Oh man, I'll tell you what, it's if you're going to go out on that football field and play football, or if you play baseball, track, whatever, and my advice to you guys is go out there and always think about how you can improve yourself and how you can take the time and set up something good where it's very consistent for you to be part of the team, to be successful. But you've got to take that time. If you don't take that time and you depend on somebody else to do it for you or to help you, like you said, you got to stay motivated. And that's the toughest thing. You got to be mentally tough. My suggestion is you got to build a good base for yourself working out, where you repetition in football, that's what it is, it's repetition. You do it over and over and over and over and over again, you know, until you're so comfortable that it's just part of when you line up out there, you don't even think about it, you just do it. But the repetition that you need to do to keep going, do it. I mean, I spent so much time, like I did a lot of work on the speed back for hand and eye coordination. I just do that, catching footballs, stride work, backup work, my cutting, my footwork, but I wouldn't go out there and do all in one day. I'd take like 2 of the things, and that's all I work on that day. Because you gotta have patience, you can't keep pushing yourself and get ahead of yourself. You gotta let yourself build. It's like building, it's like building blocks. You start here, and you just keep going forward, building, building, building. And then when you get up here, and then it's easy to go back, because see, it's so easy and more in your favor if you can correct yourself. So when you're building and you're working, you got to be able to say, okay, this isn't working, let me come back to here and restart. And that's how you develop that consistency, that's how you develop that work ethic, that's how you develop where you feel so comfortable. Because if you go in a field and you're not comfortable, you're going to get lost. You know, you got to feel that field is party. You know, when you go out there, no matter where you're playing, you just go out there, you line up and you go, okay, let's go. But that's the most important thing. My advice would be, that's what you have to do. You know, you got to build yourself a good program. So it's not, say, football season, and you start working out because the practice is coming up. Well, you just don't want to go out there and start running around, you know, and you just go and you build yourself a program. That helps you. That's it. And if we're familiar with yourself and correcting your own mistakes and thinking about it, it's like you make a mistake, okay, fine. At least I got some place to go back to build it back up again. You know, so you have to learn. It's all learning on the way. You know? It's not tough, it's not what you want to do. Wow, you want to play sunshine or snow? No, you put myself in the decision I made to go with the Raiders or the Lions. Yeah, I made a great decision. You know, it's, you know what? When I left here at Tech Memorial at the time, you know, I made a big decision. I was able to get down to Florida State. Nothing was handed to me. I was fortunate to have one of the coaches here knew the offensive coordinator down there, and they were friends. And he came up and looked at me one time at a workout and said, yeah, well, we could use you down at Florida State. So that's how I got to Florida State. So it's, I went there, and then the decision, where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Detroit, or do I want to go to California? And then it's like I said, you know, you're throwing the ball 40 times a game, at least minimum. You know, I want to be part of that. You know, so it wasn't very hard for me to decide, really. You know, and, you know, there was a time I didn't think I made the right decision, but it ended up that way. You know, so a lot of things fell in my lap, you know, but it was always my persistence and stubbornness, I think, that I got from being born and raised in Erie. You know, you gotta be tough. Yes. Do I miss playing football? No, I had my time. You know, you look back and, you know, I had some success here, played in high school, success in college, success with the Raiders. And, you know, you look back on it, you know, you couldn't ask for anything better to have things turn out that way for you, like for me. And I was very fortunate to have things turn out that way. And, you know, now, no, I don't miss football. I just, you know, it's like, you know, I had my time, I had my success. You know, I've gotten, was fortunate enough to have a lot of recognition, you know, so, yeah, but you know, retirement is, you know, finding things to do. And now we have a foundation, for kids like my wife and I, for the name of our daughter, for adolescent girls, for drug and alcohol abuse. We do a lot of fundraising through that. And then I just got back into my daycare center for them where they can drop off their kids and don't have to pay, and they can go to work. So we do that, so we have that, and then we're just getting involved in a place in Las Vegas, Tracy's Place of Hope, there for another home for girls. So we stay busy. My wife runs the foundation, so she keeps me busy, you know. When she needs me, she calls me. All right? But yeah, so we do that a lot of fundraising.
Tell us about the Miami game.
The what?
Miami game.
No. Go ahead. If it wasn't for football, I don't know. This. I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? I really never was involved with anything else other than football. So I don't know what it's like or what I would be doing. I wouldn't even guess. I couldn't even guess, to be honest with you. You know, I don't know. I'm fortunate I was able to play football. That's it. Coach. What's that? Hardest part, coaching NFL players? You're coaching millionaires. It's hard coaching millionaires. It's just that, oh man, when you're coaching in the NFL, I coached 4 years in Canadian Football League in Calgary, and I coached 18 years for the Raiders, and two years in the old USFL. And in each of those spots, the players are just different. NFL, I retired from coaching, or walked away from the coaching after 18 years, so it was like 2007. But the guys are just different. At that period of time, I had a good group of guys. They love playing football. They love the work, everything. But now, it's just a different breed. There's a different breed of guy. Every once in a while, you see some guys that you kind of get attached to watching them work, how they are on the field and everything. You can tell the difference, but that coaching stuff, you got to be a psychiatrist, a social worker, what else is it? A babysitter. You got to do all those things before you can coach. Before you even get out of the field, you have to deal with all this stuff. Getting out of the field is the easy part. Going out there, coaching out the field, the tough part is off that field. But, I had my experiences, my times, and, I always swore when I was playing I'd never be a coach, because I wouldn't want to have to coach somebody like me. And the good Lord did give me some people like me. It wasn't fun, but yeah, so that's it. Coaching NFL, it's not easy. It's not easy. Well, guys, did I keep out of class long enough? You guys done for the day or what? John, yeah. For, let's see, well, he was there for 10 years, yeah. And then I got cut, and then he had one more year, and then I was done. Yeah, everybody gets cut in the NFL. Nobody retires. Yes.
What happened in the Dolphin?
What's that? Oh, my daughter? My daughter was an addict.
The Dolphin game.
My Dolphin game? I tell you something. Oh, Angela throwing up, you talk about playing against a team, and you talk about, sometimes you don't want to play with 8 against the other guy. So we're down in Miami playing, and I dropped a touchdown pass towards the end of the game. Would have helped us win, and I just got sloppy. And I looked down, I'm close to her sideline in the end zone. I looked down, those guys were jumping up and down. And I'm going, I mean, listen, sometimes I use bad words, okay, whatever. But I'll never forget that. To see those guys jumping up and down. Then, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the CNN's game when Clara would beat them at the very end. And I thought, I waited a whole year waiting to get back to those guys. An entire year. That's how much I hated. That's how much I screwed up. I mean,